Hey guys, so today I have Ashley Cohen Chandler, right?
Yes, that's
Okay,
it.
because I was chopping it up earlier.
Oh, you're doing great.
I have Ashley on the show. She's a partner at 10 by 4. And I brought her on the show specifically because we I have a need I had a need when I was a corporate marketer, and she's filling that. And that's basically the whole RFP process, how to vet uh, agencies, and that was huge. So I wanted to bring her on because I know a lot of you are looking for vendors, agencies, partners, whatever. It's all synonyms to me, and need help in that way. Need to outsource that additional resources to make the marketing go fast and take it to the next level without sounding like cheesy, but it's true. So Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Same here. Are you on your like ninth cup of coffee now?
Probably I am one of those crazy people that can drink coffee all day, every day. I have legitimately like 7 to 10 cups a day.
Gosh.
It'll be fun.
That
It'll be fun today.
that is next level. That's keynote speaker level right there. So I'll read a bio while you sip your coffee, and then feel free
Perfect.
to chime in if I chop anything up. So Ashley has built her B2B marketing career on the guiding principle of being helpful to our industry in any way she can. Based on her unique skill set, she's found a useful niche in helping B2B brands identify the right agency partner across communications, PR, branding, and creative, media, paid media, ABM, change management, etc. Historically, the agency RFP process has been about the win. Ashley and her team are redefining the process to be about the fit. Love it. Her career, her career in B2B marketing and deep understanding of the marketing ecosystem allows her to bring her expertise to B2B organizations, guiding them through the RFP process every step of the way. As a strategic advisor, she helps B2B organizations identify fundamental core business needs, create internal stakeholder alignment, and align on the global vision, which is huge. She brings trust, transparency, and compassion to a once painful agency search process, amen, leading to better relationships for both the brand and the agency. So, welcome again to the show. Let's dive right in. So, why did you choose a career in marketing? I'm curious about that, just to rewind a little bit. I want to hear the backstory.
I think it chose me. Honestly, for me, what it really comes down to is people. Like I love connecting with people. I find people interesting and what motivates them. And my career, funny enough, started at a local newspaper. I was like an ad
Oh, wow.
sales rep. Um, and then got recruited into more B2B, the B2B marketing world. I
Mhm.
worked first like at UBM and then other organizations on the vendor side. But that's really where I started developing relationships. Like for me, it mattered less about what I was, selling, and it mattered more about who I was selling to. And
Mm.
so I started making friends in the market and started understanding what mattered to them and being accountable and being trustworthy and delivering on what I promised. And
Totally.
it really just grew from there. And then I got brought in to work at an agency and run new business. And it felt like just everything opened up from there. I started to really, understand the full marketing ecosystem and how different elements contribute to success for organizations
Mhm.
and really what matters to them. And so that's what started, 10 by 4 as well, is that we saw this disconnect between what a business needed, the organizational needs, the client expectations,
Right.
and what they actually asked for in the RFP process, and thus how the relationship was set up on the back end. And it's that like scratch your head. There must be there must be a better way moment. Uh,
Right. And how long have you been in B2B marketing?
oh goodness, um, a little over 12 years, I think. It feels like longer. It feels like shorter, maybe like 15, something like that. I feel like with COVID, it's like a past 4 years. It's like it could have been 2 weeks, could have been 2 years type
Yeah.
answer.
Now, the one question, because I consider you a B2B marketer turned entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So why, you could pick anything to do in marketing,
Mm-hmm.
but why the RFP process specifically? Right.
So broken. It is so broken. So having been on the front lines of that and been the person answering the 128 questionnaire in Excel where there's multiple questions that are the exact same question because nobody read that Excel before it hit the market. And you also know that no one on the receiving end of those answers is actually reading those answers. The RFP process is not designed to help organizations or agencies actually determine if it's the right fit. It becomes about the win. It becomes a Broadway musical show for the pitch process where you put the people who perform well, the good performers up. And that's not really laying the ground for a true partnership. So from the get-go, there's misalignment. There's misalignment internally on the client side. The clients aren't necessarily, in most cases, pausing and saying, hey, what are we actually solving for? And then also making sure that all the people on their team know what they're solving for and they've agreed on those fundamental core business goals.
Right.
And so since organizations don't know what they're solving for in most cases, they just ask questions of agencies that they maybe were a part of a different RFP at a different organization, or one they used to find the agency last time, or ones they find on Google or on a list somewhere online or get from a friend.
Right.
But again, it's not designed to go back to what the organization is solving for. And so, so from the get-go, the organization in most cases doesn't know what they're solving for. They ask questions that aren't mapped back to any specific goals, just kind of like general types of questions.
Right.
They invite agencies to an RFP or to participate in an RFP that haven't been pre-vetted, and they don't know if they do the thing that they're trying to do, and they don't even really know what the thing they're trying to do is. And then they just kind of pick the agency they like the most. And so from the get-go, those fundamental core needs and agency expertise are misaligned.
Right.
And then what happens, right? The client and agency hate each other, and the agency loses team members. It infects the culture of the agency because their team hates working on that client. Thus complains around the office.
Oh, yeah.
The client team is angry and frustrated with the agency because they're not doing the thing they think they should be doing, and everybody loses essentially. And so we fix that. We are fixing that process, like from a personal standpoint, making people's work life better.
And you've had that personal experience as a B2B marketer.
Yes.
Yeah. Where you had to go through the RFP process. You're like, I still feel like insecure about making a decision on this because I just went through a process and I still don't know if there's alignment.
So I haven't been on the marketer side of choosing an agency. I've been on the agency side of winning the new business. Some of my business partners have been on the client side of choosing an agency.
That's good.
That's not my.
You see both sides. I love it.
We totally do, and there's no reason for that. It isn't just that there's got to be a better way. Like there is a better way. Like we have established a better way and put humans back at the center of the RFP process so that both the agency, because the agency should be vetting the client just as much as the client's vetting the agency.
Right.
Just like in a job interview, it's not like you are just the interviewee and will take any job that somebody offers you. Like you should also be interviewing that organization and making sure it's the right fit for you.
Right.
The same is true with the RFP process.
Yeah, I was thinking about, so what I really liked and why I wanted to bring you on the show is because I felt a lot of the pain points that you're talking about as a corporate marketer. So when I was a corporate marketer, let's say 2012, 2013. Wow, that was a long time ago. So when I was that, I was the only marketer for this financial institution. It was a financial services company, and they ended up getting bought out. But I was doing everything. When they hired me, they're like, "You're managing all vendors,"
Mm-hmm.
and there was no in-house. I was the only person in-house. So they had me for digital marketing. I was managing the website, maintaining the website, blogs, landing pages, all this other stuff. The whole website was my management stuff, and with the vendors. So the creative, like all of it from social media. And it was very, very overwhelming. And when it came to looking for additional agencies to partner with for certain parts of marketing, all I knew was like, okay, well, this agency is pitching me HubSpot
Mm-hmm.
for social media, landing pages, email marketing. I I I guess we'll move to HubSpot, and then we're in the HubSpot ecosystem, and now I'm sucked into that. It cost us way more money just to be a HubSpot customer, and that agency that referred me to HubSpot was getting major kickbacks.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, okay. I didn't know that till later. Uh, and to me, I was like, this is all money driven,
Mm-hmm.
100%. Like, I didn't really need HubSpot.
Mm-hmm.
They did because it made their life easier, but I didn't need that. I was
Mm-hmm.
very tech savvy. I did not need something that was like, here, you need the iPhone. No, I'm okay with Android. I know how to use Android. So that's kind of was more my thing that I've learned. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have someone in my corner like you where where I could actually talk about this stuff like a consultant
Mm-hmm.
and talk about, hey, what agencies would be a great fit based on our needs, based on the alignment from the CEO down to where I'm at. And I reported directly to the CEO, so I knew exactly what the CEO wanted. And the other thing I would add, because, and then I'll let you go because I know you're ready to
No, I
pull
love
right out the gates. You're ready to go.
it. You're like, you're teeing me up. It's great. No, just keep
Yeah.
going.
No, but this is really important because as a one-man show for marketing, I only had the vendors, the agencies that were working with us, and they would just send me to HubSpot. I would go to HubSpot partner page, but they're all incentive. They all get paid for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, it's almost like, yeah, let's get us on other add-ons. Like it's all of that stuff. And I lack the knowledge in that area. So I would do all these. I've wasted a lot of time interviewing HubSpot agency partners, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me away from the creative side. It took me away from the managing side. It took me away from a lot of other meetings that are probably more important
Mm-hmm.
and that I regret. But it was also a learning experience for me too. I wouldn't have known if I wasn't in the ringer with it. But I wish I had someone like you, your agency, because now let's flip it over to the other side. And then I'm going to let you go. That way you can just talk about it.
I'm here for this.
Now for the other side. Now, as an agency owner, I
Mm-hmm.
see both sides of the court. I don't get kickbacks for HubSpot. I don't tell people to go to HubSpot. I tell them to go to WordPress. I don't get no kickback from WordPress. We don't have that. I don't gain anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100% the marketer's benefit.
Yep.
And I'm looking at their needs. Here's the other thing. As an agency owner, I might be a great fit for them, but I'm not doing the RFP. And they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So missed opportunities there too
Mm-hmm.
for the right alignment. Okay, let me know what you think about that.
My goodness. Well, the first thing that you said that was like this light bulb moment for me and something that I feel really passionate about was you didn't need HubSpot. That was what you said. I didn't need HubSpot.
Nope.
And so what we notice is a lot of times, because we do a lot of contract reviews and we actually do contract reviews outside of our RFP process for organizations as well, just to make sure there's actual alignment. And 100% of the time, I can't think of a single contract I have reviewed that didn't include things the client didn't need. And so what happens is that you end up as the client paying for things you don't need. And there are, we did a really in-depth analysis of the paid media agency landscape from a pricing perspective. And we sit on this like wealth of data on all these different agency rates. And, none of the rates are specific to any agency, and no agency is called out or anything of that nature. But what we found is that every single agency to some degree has additional padded costs in their contracts for things the client thinks are just included in their fee.
Right.
And so by understanding what you actually need, and in that case, you didn't need HubSpot, for example, but you were paying for it. Aligning on actual business needs and what you are paying the agency for is something that almost never happens. And so from there too, from that like fundamental alignment standpoint, a lot of times clients come to us in the same moment. They're working with too many fragmented, siloed agencies, and there's no consolidation, no single point of truth, no efficiencies, or things like that. And then also a lot of times they think they're paying their agency too much. And so what you described often leads to that feeling. I think I'm paying my agency too much because you're paying for things that you yourself as a marketer don't need. And so in the beginning, during the contract review process, catching those things is really important. Typically, and it depends on the size of the RFP, but like I would say north of $250,000, we identify a bloat in every single contract.
So you save the marketer a ton of money.
Correct. And we also, we've been brought back in to help clients renegotiate with agencies as the scope changes, and things of that nature, or just like look at what they're paying for, what they're getting from the agency. And every time we also identify 6 figures of bloat. And it's not that we're in any respect trying to get the agencies to lose money. It's getting the agencies to put forth people that the client actually needs, so that they're paying for what they need. It's like you go to the grocery store, you don't have somebody in line behind you throw a bunch of stuff that you don't need. It's you want to pay for what you actually need and what you're actually getting, and that's what we help organizations do as well, from that respect.
Yeah, it's funny is I had a potential customer said, "Hey, we looked at all these website partners, and you were lower than them. And is there any hidden fees?" They were like, "Why are you lower?" And to me, I thought my costs were reasonable. I knew they were not on the lower end, so I was pretty shocked. And I was like, "Send me which company are you thinking about going with?" And it was one in San Francisco. And I was like, "Oh, they have overhead."
Mm-hmm.
We were like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "You're paying for their lights. You're paying for their San Francisco office. We work remotely. I don't have to raise my prices on you." And it was mind blowing. I was like, and I'm not here to say their developers suck, this and this and this and blah, blah, blah. I don't know their talent, but we can get the job done. I trust my guys to get the job done, so that was really eye opening to the customer. Because she just couldn't get her head wrapped around why our costs were lower than others. So that's really interesting when you talk about saving costs.
Well, and it's out of all of the RFPs that we run RFPs, like you said in the beginning, across communications and brand creative and global paid media and ABM specific change management. Out of all of the RFPs that we've run, we've never seen price be the reason why an agency is chosen or not. Never. It has never, ever been a thing that's happened. And it's interesting because, sometimes when agencies aren't advanced in our RFP process, I've gotten notes from CEOs or heads of new business. And the reason that they come up with is because of their pricing. And that has never been the reason. The only thing I've seen pricing do is give the client leverage if there's a gap between agencies to be able to negotiate down. But I have never seen from a the type of scale of RFPs that we've run, I've never seen pricing be the determining factor in either way. It's always about, and it's always about the people. You know, like when you're hiring an agency, you're hiring people,
Right.
and people want to work with people that they trust. And it's, you know, the trust is that fundamental level. And from there, you can build the rest. And it's, you know, of course, the agency that you've chosen needs to do the things that you're trying to do. That needs to be what their core.
You're saying, hey, they're meeting the needs of what we need. Now
it's about who we trust.
Now let's talk about character and personality, because we're working with them.
Exactly. And who do you trust enough to go through the hard stuff with? It's like any relationship in your life.
Right.
And, you know, who's going to take accountability when a tag is misplaced on something, or something isn't tracked, or if a letter is off on an ad, or the press release has a one tiny error in it. You know, is it somebody who's going to come back to the client and say, hey, I made this error, I fixed it, here's what I'm doing to make it better, and have a conversation, versus, you know, an agency. And this is something that's interesting too, because the first complaint we get from clients is on the agency team, the people, right? That's the reason why they want the new RFP, because of the people. Right. You know, do they fundamentally meet my needs? And from a services expertise type of clients they work with, global operating model, all of those pieces. And then, are they the kind of people I want to work with? Do I think that they can, you know, be my strategic partner, walk shoulder to shoulder with me to help solve my business goals? And part of that also, a lot of that responsibility falls on the client, not the agency. The agency is not the silver bullet fix all, you know, for internal struggles. You know, they're not going to break down silos. They're not going to, you know, cure cancer. You know, it's not what's happening. But they, you know, finding an agency that can be your partner in that is really, you know, the goal, and to help, you know, to build towards something and work towards the common good.
Yeah. And how do you know? Because there's like, let's say it's WordPress web development, because that's what we do, right? Just as an example. And there's 5 other companies. Like, how do you know, okay, this is going to be the best fit for them? Not the needs, but more the trust. Yeah. Because what if you vetted 5 companies and they all have trust?
Right.
And they all meet the need? How do you then determine? And maybe I'm getting too in the weeds with this, but
what I see in that is the people again. It goes back, right? So when we run an RFP, like I mentioned, I mean, we do this deep internal stakeholder alignment. We get everybody on the team going in the same direction. The executives are behind it. Their lieutenants are behind it. The whole team is behind it. And then, you know, we write a brief that ladders back up to that, outlining everything that matters to the client. And we ask the questions that help map back to the challenges that are being solved for. And then we, 10 by 4, we vet all the agencies, right? To make sure that they are perfect. They are the perfect partner from a fundamental service level for what the client's trying to solve for.
Right.
Not, you know, and then we sell them back to the client. The client chooses who participates. We run the RFP. They answer the questions, and then the client decides on who they want to meet with. And it's in those meetings that I see things shift. And to answer your question,
I love that.
And what there's always this debate, and I've had, I'll say, slightly heated debates on this topic with agency leaders around the pitch team. So agencies don't have people just sitting around waiting for business, because if you did, you would be out of business. That is bad business. That said, agencies do have people who they intend to assign to the business, even just a few key individuals that will be part of that partnership moving forward, even if it's like a manager level, director level, but like giving the client a chance to build chemistry with people that will be part of that partnership is essential. And, you know, a lot of agencies have argued with me on this topic, and it's and I've heard, and I've read about it, and I've listened to other people's opinions about it.
Yeah, share about it. I'm curious to know why they argue about it.
Because they don't just have people sitting around. So in their minds, they're like, I don't have a whole team that I can assign tomorrow. I have a few key individuals, and then I'm going to hire more or pull more resources and things like that, which is fair. And also, you don't want to have your most junior people necessarily presenting because they're not comfortable with it, and they're nervous and they aren't able to speak to the challenges quite like somebody a little bit more seasoned in their career.
So they're not the expert.
They're not the best actors. It's not that they're not expert. They're not the best actors. They're not trained, and
when you mean actors, you mean they're not the most relationship builders.
Well, and that's the thing is I don't necessarily mean that either, because on a day-to-day basis, like they might become your best friend, but in a formal pitch process where the stakes are high and nerves are high and everybody's looking at them and they're sitting around a large like boardroom style table or on a Zoom meeting, and they're being asked to talk about, I don't know, something global search or programmatic or something, something else, whatever it is. They get nervous. They're not the best actors. They're not able to eloquently and they're not able to.
It's almost like sales. They're not trained to be professional, experienced salespeople.
Yes. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah. That was trying to narrow it down.
Yes. That is, they're not salespeople. They're more on the execution side. And so, I understand why maybe some of the more junior folks aren't invited to those conversations at that level.
Right.
But your manager levels, your director levels, folks that are going to be involved in the business, even if it's a 20% allocation of their time or 30% or 50%, those folks should be heavily involved in the conversation, because what it comes down to is the people. Right. When your agencies are a service, and yes, they all have access to the same platforms, technologies, and tools. Maybe some have proprietary versions of them, but a lot do. But why a client chooses to work with you is because of you as people. And so give them the opportunity to test the chemistry. And that's, when we do pitch meetings, we're trying to like shift that too.
Yeah.
We've been asked about like the unpitch, which I don't necessarily agree with not having any sort of meeting for conversation. What we try to do is have it be much more collaborative and do more of like a workshop approach where there's like modular moments that are assigned to different topics where the agency can respond to a business challenge that the client is having and have them participate in it too. That's where we've seen it go really well. There was one pitch that we did a while back, and this agency blew it out of the water. They did a choose your own adventure. And so they came up with all of these cool ideas for our client. And then they let the client pick which route they wanted to go in it. And it was, that agency won that pitch. And it was so collaborative, and it got the client talking, and it built trust, and they directly addressed what the client was working towards and brought ideas to the table. And that level of customization is what I hope to see in every pitch, because, and I actually posted something about this on LinkedIn this morning. One of the main reasons agencies are excluded from our RFP process as it goes on, why they're dismissed, why they're let go from the process, is because the client feels like they're not customized. Their responses aren't customized enough to the client. It feels like maybe they're responding to global. Well, yeah, they're giving like their philosophy on global paid search, or how to build, audiences, or what to do in a certain situation around crisis or crisis management. Just like it's a philosophy, but they're not bringing that thinking to the client and saying, "Hey, for you, client, based on what we know about you, when we're thinking about global paid search or crisis management or your internal culture alignment, here's what we think about that for you." And that is the biggest miss of agencies when I'm reading through RFP responses and when I'm sitting in pitch meetings. Put the client's name in a headline, put their exact audience set, put their name, their logo, their colors on it, make it feel like it's for them. Right. There's these little tiny tweaks that you can make along the way that create that personalization, that build that confidence, that build that trust. Because, as you said, for WordPress, yes, you can do that. Absolutely. But do they trust you enough? And those little tiny details are how trust and confidence is built throughout the process.
Yeah, and I know agency owners that they just won't, or whoever on their team, they just won't do even a Zoom meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even talking about pitching. I'm just talking about discovery. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's really weird. Um, and it's from an agency standpoint, it's easy to have the customer if it's a right fit, and it just takes a Zoom meeting to close it. That's the crazy thing. Like how important the human to human connection is. It's
Mm-hmm.
super important. Um, but yeah, a lot of agencies don't do that. Let's go back to the marketer role
Okay.
because, and we'll end with this one just for
Okay.
time's sake, because I also think let's talk about the nightmare of choosing the wrong agency. Okay. I know it sounds exciting, but
Yes.
it's true. It's a lot of headaches. It stunts growth,
Mm-hmm.
definitely affects marketing and sales. But let's touch a little bit about that.
Yes, please.
What have you seen?
Oh my goodness. It causes so many headaches. And not just headaches, people lose their jobs over that. Bringing in the wrong partners.
I bet.
And choosing the wrong agency has such a ripple effect across everything. From a marketer's perspective, your team also might leave because they don't want to deal with
Yeah.
all of the things that are happening now. Like as you mentioned before too, like choosing an agency wasn't your only job as a marketer. You have a day job. You know, you have
Right.
you
Have
have
goals.
you have two little kids, you know, in the next room. Or maybe
Yep.
they're at daycare right now. But you know,
True.
at night, you know, when you're expected to read through an RFP response, you have maybe a crying baby and a kid doing bath time. You know,
Mhm.
and so the level of stress that brings and choosing the wrong partner from your day-to-day life, not being able to trust that your agency has tagged things appropriately, has launched things on time, that they're not communicating with you, the level of anxiety that brings to you as a human is one thing, right? And then the level of discord that creates internally. That way, you can't go to your managers and show the impact of your role and what you're doing.
Right.
You then can't go to the C-suite and board and show that. You know, you lose money as a marketer, which is definitely not fun. You want to be able to grow budgets rather than lose them, and you need to be able to show that you're spending money effectively. And when you're unable to do that because you have an agency who can't do that, it hurts your job progression. Your ability to make more money, your ability to hit your goals, your bonuses, to be promoted and things like that. And it's just not beneficial to you know?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because sometimes we run into like the things with our clients where they want to rush through certain parts.
Right.
And there are certain corners you can cut in the process, but we always advise against it. It is worth spending an extra 2 weeks to not have that be your life. And to have the discord between maybe your US team and your EMEA team and your APAC team, or a rogue internal SMB or ABM group that doesn't want to participate. It is worth spending an extra week or two going through the contract and having another round of team interviews and to do all of that so that you can rest easy at night and enjoy bath time with your 3-year-old and meet your goals. And, you know, a lot of clients come to us and say, you know, we hired the agency on strategy, but they become an execution arm. And it depends on what the role of the agency is within your organization. But regardless of what their role is, it should be defined and they should be your partner. And so you should know where they begin and you end, where there's crossover and collaboration. And choosing the wrong partner for all of that, not only for your own personal career growth does it stunt it, it stunts the organization's growth. It has just such a big ripple effect for personal lives, professional lives, business associations. And it's too important to mess up, really, you know, and And
Right.
I'll say one last thing on the topic too, just because I was, having this conversation earlier today. I notice a lot of times for those reasons, clients, brands will bring in an agency that they used to work with in the past.
Oh my
And
gosh. I just,
all
yeah.
about, I'm all about, relationships and trust and leveraging those again. That said, I also believe, and I have seen it go horribly when that happens,
Mhm.
because that agency might have been built perfectly for your last organization based on those needs, but not for your current organization and your business needs. Maybe you have a different team. Maybe the person that you love there is no longer there, and so even if there's an agency that you've worked with twice or four times or 10 times, um, going through a vetting process is worth it because there might be a better fit. And that's
Mhm.
our whole philosophy: fit over win, fit over win, fit over win. It
Right.
doesn't matter who, it just matters that it's the right fit based on your organization and your business challenges, and that they can help you with all of that.
Perfect. Love that. Last question. Do you have any advice or tips for B2B marketers that are looking to hire agencies?
Understand your goals, align on those goals as an organization, find agencies who do that all day, every day, and then vet them thoroughly and properly across the board, from skill sets to personalities, to the financial obligation as well. Be thorough upfront to not waste a ton of time later trying to fix a problem that could have been solved just by being more thorough in the beginning.
Awesome. Now, how can people reach out to you if they want to get advice,
Yeah.
feedback, consulting, all that stuff when it comes to the agency vetting?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. Ashley Cohen Chandler is my name. You can also come to my website. It's 10 by 4. And I'm so sorry. It's really spelled TENX and then the number 4.com. Sorry about that, guys. But that's what it is.
All good.
And you can just reach out to me directly if you want to talk about this or have any questions. I can talk about this all day, every day. So happy to connect.
Awesome. Well, Ashley, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.